Thomas Matchbook is the real deal. With the auto rifle support available in Act 3, I've seen builds based on Choir of One and even options like Centrifuge. But forget about those. This is the way you want to go. And to prove it, all gameplay in this video will be legend or high content, including even solo GMs and solo onslaught. To really bring out the most in this weapon, you really want to be running solo. I found solo warlock to be the best fit, but Prismatic also has some nice options I will cover later. So first up, why is this actually working so well? At base, Thomas is not really that impressive, and is dangerous to use with constant self-damage during prolonged fire, realistically making it one of the last recommendations I would want to give in harder content. But now it's at the top of the list. Why is this? Critically, you want to select these 3 artefact mods: targeting autoloader, sustained fire, and solar fulmination. The first 2 are auto rifle specific, with targeting autoloader replenishing ammo into the mag with every enemy defeated, as well as providing up to 20% extra damage as you get these defeats. Sustained fire will provide a 40% damage resist for just hitting 10 shots with the auto rifle. Incredibly easy to activate with a huge benefit. Solar fulmination will increase the potency of these ignitions, which can be caused by sustained fire from Thomas, and it also has some unique interactions with fragments in this build. These fragments being a combination of both Ember of Ashes and Ember of Char. You can do this on any solar build, but both of these are 100% required. Ashes will increase scorch stacks by 50% from any source for more frequent ignitions, and Char will make these ignitions deal 60 scorch stacks to any target hit by them. Between these 2 and solar fulmination is what causes the chain ignitions you will see in quite a lot of these gameplay clips. Essentially, solar fulmination technically causes 2 ignitions at once, as its method of increasing damage, admittedly with the second explosion being much lower damage, but it will still spread an extra 60 scorch stacks, making each ignition apply 120 scorch to all nearby targets. If you have 2 or more high health targets close to each other, these ignitions could theoretically ping back and forth between them until either is defeated. For a weapon and playstyle such as this to be made possible, sustain is also required. The way I went with this is a combination of heat risers plus consuming a healing grenade paired with Phoenix Dive. Use both of these abilities in rapid succession and you'll be granted restoration ×2. This can be then extended indefinitely by any solar defeats with the fragment Ember of Empyrean. If you want maximum survivability, also utilise Speaker's Sight, which will also activate upon consuming a healing grenade and provide an additional healing turret at your location. For Thomas itself, here's a breakdown on everything you need to know. The weapon is all about holding down the trigger to deal increased damage and ramp up scorch stacks against inflicted targets. This begins after 20 consecutive shots fired. Anything beyond this point deals double damage, and you will know when this is active by the overheated weapon buff being active. Also, while overheated, every 5 shots will apply 20 scorch stacks, which means that only 25 shots are required for an ignition, and at 720 RPM this is easily done. Because of this ramp up effect, the targeting autoloader mod, which refills the mag on kills, is really putting in the work. It's kind of like Actium Warrig Titan, but is not terrible. However, after these initial 20 shots is when Thomas will start damaging the user too. This is 15 damage every 0.4 seconds, and can be completely counteracted by restoration ×2. If you do not have any restoration effects active however, this damaging effect will never actually outright kill you, as it stops dealing self-damage once your shields are broken. Even then though, I do really recommend trying to loop restoration effects as much as possible. Thomas also has benefits if fired from the hip. Not only does this look really stylish, but the self-damage amount is also reduced from 15 damage per tick down to 10. And the accuracy cone size is reduced while hip firing, which is just nerd speak for shots will be easier to land and you'll get crits you probably didn't even expect to hit. Gameplay wise, the loop is really as simple as maintaining restoration effects by scoring solar kills, and the solar kills are incredibly easy to come by via Thomas. But there's a part I haven't covered yet, the second aspect of choice, Hellion. This is great as an extra source of scorch and will reduce the amount of shots needed from Thomas to cause an ignition on a single target, and it's completely passive, being active for 20 seconds after each Phoenix Dive. This can and should be re-procced whenever possible. Another great ability is the Super Song of Flame. You don't even need to change up much during this either. It simply enhances all existing options. Thomas will deal an additional 5 scorch stacks every 0.2 seconds. Incinerator Snap will be improved significantly, making an already easy ignition even easier to achieve. And if you're using Speaker's Sight, you could just consume a bunch of Phoenix grenades or a bunch of healing turrets. And that is all on top of a passive 90% damage resist. Basically, during Song of Flame, you will not be dying. And since Thomas is doing quite a lot of the heavy lifting here, other weapons can simply be anti-champion options or damage options for boss targets. But wait, actually Thomas can also deal with 2 out of 3 champion types, and you do kind of get to choose which ones you want to. So unstoppables are always covered by ignitions. Overload auto rifle is an option now, so you can go that path. Or you could remove that overload mod, which allows for anti-barrier upon being radiant. Radiant is incredibly easy to obtain via radiant orbs, and once active will also be extended forever via Ember of Empyrean. Pretty good stuff. Finally, moving away from Thomas glazing though, here's the rest of the build. A lot of it has already been covered in part, but as a refresher, it's Solar Warlock with Touch of Flame, Incinerator Snap, Phoenix Dive and Healing Grenades. Aspects, Heat Risers and Hellion, and fragments, Ember of Ashes, Char, Empyrean, and one I haven't mentioned yet in Singeing. This one increases class ability regeneration by 400% whenever you scorch a target. However, in group content you should swap this out for Benevolence. This one provides 400% regeneration to all abilities upon healing allies. With this you can maintain constant uptime on healing turrets of Speaker's Sight, and generate a lot of additional orbs. But to be completely fair, Speaker's Sight is not a requirement. Remember that consuming a healing grenade and following it up with a Phoenix Dive will provide you restoration times 2 regardless. So in easier content where you don't need the extra survivability, here is some alternatives. Battle Harmony. This provides increased super generation upon any matching weapon kills, making obtaining Song of Flame much quicker than at base. Song of Flame is up there with the best supers in the game, so more of this is never a bad thing. Oh, and there's some additional interactions. Getting matching weapon kills while in Song of Flame will also proc Battle Harmony, making the super itself last longer. And if you do not activate your super while at full charge, any matching weapon kills will grant ×4 weapon search, which is a 25% increase. Obviously this is a good thing. But also increased weapon damage multipliers will equate to increased ignition damage, as long as the weapon was the original cause of that ignition. Dawn Chorus is also a great choice. Since Scorch will be consistently applied, increasing the damage of a Scorch is an obvious fit. It will also provide increased melee energy returns on scorching targets, meaning that you can really spam Incinerator Snap, both outside and inside of super. If you want something what's a little bit more out there, then try Wings of Sacred Dawn. This will hold you in air while firing weapons and provide even more damage resist while doing so. But more importantly, any weapon kill will refresh a magazine of all solar weapons, which is not actually important at all right now. But after this season when the artifacts options change, this could actually be the go-to. There's also the choice to go Prismatic instead. The key benefits here, at least on Warlock, is Devour instead of Restoration for Sustain, Arcane Needles for Spreading Unravel, and the ability to use exotic class items. Like this one here, a combination of Heart of Immersed Light and Battle Harmony. This is just a fantastic fit for the build. There's also a whole different set of fragments to choose from. Ruin will increase ignition size, Purpose will bring back a method to obtain restoration, and Protection will let you stack even more damage resist options. Though right now I will give a slight edge to Solar, but that's mainly in part due to Solar Fulmination, which will not be in the game forever. Finally, Armour Mods. These are quite basic, I'll be real, so I'm just going to bring them up on screen and quickly cover the ones you absolutely want. Harmonic Siphon because solar weapon kills will be the majority of all defeats with this setup. Hands On is great too because Incinerator Snap is incredibly powerful with its practically guaranteed ignition. In the glove slot, Focusing Strike and Impact Induction will give ability energy to other abilities when using a powered melee. Incinerator Snap will be available a lot, and if you ever need it back even more quickly, just get a few kills while airborne with Heat Risers active and there you go. Instant full melee energy. Chest slots just go for resist which fit the activity. Boots I went for Surges as again solar weapons will be used a lot, and this boost will carry over to ignition damage too. And class item, Double Bomber for more grenade energy on class ability usage, and Reaper so that class ability usage also allows for an additional orb to be generated. Artefact mods, here's my setup. Outside of a critical 3 though, you could mix these up to suit the rest of your build's weapons, should you choose so. At this point I think I've kind of yapped forever for a build which roughly equates to just use Tommy's matchbook and hold down mouse 1 until everything explodes. So goodbye.